executive director here of a church accused of covering up forced labor and money laundering. The scheme has been granted bond. Michelle Brannon was arrested in August during a raid on a Tampa mansion that doubled as a call center for the Kingdom of God Global Church. That was founded by David Taylor. Well, prosecutors say Brannon was Taylor's top lieutenant. Let's bring in Fox 13's Kylie Jones live in Tampa for us tonight. Hi there, Kylie. I know Brannon appeared in a Michigan courtroom. Details from the hearing. What happened today?
Yeah, Mark, no cameras allowed in federal court, but we did hear some audio recordings from that detention hearing in federal court, again, up in Michigan earlier this week. And federal prosecutors compared releasing Brannon on bond to, quote, releasing a lieutenant general of war back into battle. Federal prosecutors want the second in command of an alleged forced labor and money laundering organization behind bars, as they asked a judge in the Eastern District of Michigan earlier this week.
Michelle Brannon was the Lieutenant General of David Taylor's brutal regime. According to the evidence, she literally is a serial sadist who engaged in physical and psychological torture.
According to the feds, Michelle Brannon and David Taylor led the Kingdom of God Global Church, formerly known as Joshua Media Ministries, Inc. A 10-count federal indictment accuses them of operating call centers and ministry sites around the country, where workers were denied food, sleep, medical care, and threatened with violence and psychological humiliation. The FBI says one of those call centers was inside this mansion in Hillsborough County's affluent Avila neighborhood. Court documents indicate there were 57 workers with Brannon inside that mansion when it was raided. This week, Brannon appeared for a detention hearing in federal court in Michigan, where the church is headquartered.
Brannon was the lead enforcer of JMMI and KOGGC, not the mere victim of David Taylor. Brannon was particularly known for a traumatic punishment called rebuking.
Cameras aren't allowed inside federal court, but through audio recordings, federal prosecutors said Brannon was in charge of the organization's finances.
She was given this position of trust by Taylor in part because she was the best at manipulating callers into giving donations. She was so good, she was called the top closer.
Brannon's attorney countered against texts that prosecutors said she sent threatening to take away meals from workers.
There has not been any evidence presented to me from my point of view that one of them received any physical harm that caused them to do any particular thing.
The defense also referenced a group of Brannon's supporters in the courtroom.
There were no walls around any of these call centers. There was freedom to exercise one's right to leave at any point in time.
After a lengthy hearing, the judge said the church seems more like a cult.
Anyone that would be involved in any way in treating people the way that is alleged in this indictment is reprehensible, but they're only allegations.
Granting Brannon a $10,000 bond attached to a lengthy list of conditions if she's released. And just some of those conditions: if Brannon does bond out, she'll have to report to a pre-trial services agency and surrender her passport, which her attorney says has already been seized. She's also not allowed to have contact with David Taylor, any victims, witnesses, or people associated with the church. And again, if she bonds out, she'll have to be under GPS monitoring and can't leave the Eastern District of Michigan. Mark.
All right. Kylie Jones live for us tonight. Kylie, thanks.